Hi, welcome to Books with Lexie. In this video, I'm going to be reading 3 of the nominees from the first round of the 2022 Goodreads Choice Awards that I think I could love. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I post 2 to 3 videos a week and host reading sprints as well. I'm going to be reading 3 books from 3 separate categories. These are books that I'm really anticipating and think that I could end up loving, so I wanted to make sure that I got to them before the end of the year. So I'm going to be reading a book from the horror category, the mystery thriller category, and the sci-fi category. I am going to be reading The Measure. This is in the sci-fi category, and this is following multiple different characters as the world turns upside down and everybody gets these strings that show them how long they will live. For the mystery thriller category, I am reading The Violin Conspiracy by Brendan Slocum. I have a background in music, so I think that'll make this one really interesting. And I'm really looking forward to reading a book that's a little bit more of a mystery. And then for the horror category, I will be reading White Horse by Erica T. Worth. This is following a woman who finds the bracelet of her mother who disappeared when she was 2 days old, and she is now being haunted by her. I have high hopes for all 3 of these, so I definitely wanted to prioritize them, and I'm really excited to share my thoughts with you. So the first book that I'm reading for this video is The Measure by Nikki Elrich, I believe. So I am now 33% into it. This is giving me kind of like the Midnight Library by Matt Haig vibes. So this is a novel that is following a few different characters. So one day, everybody over the age of 22, like they all get these magic boxes that are made out of a material that is like not known to man, but it like looks like a wooden box, and inside is a string, and the box says inside is the measure of your life, and each box contains a string, and the length of the string determines how long your life is. It's not how much time you have left, it is overall. So obviously nobody knows at first if this is a real thing or what, because like literally everybody over the age of 22 gets it, and eventually it is determined that it is real. Enough people who had the shorter strings have died, and now they can determine your death date between 2 years. So the whole sci-fi thing is this magic box showing up and then being able to know when your life is going to end very roughly. This is definitely supposed to be an inspirational book. Like, the point is to live your life. Like, that's the point of it. We are following a few different characters, and we're just watching people kind of come to terms with either having a short string or loving someone with a short string, or like just the outcomes of people's reactions, just different things like that. So far I'm enjoying it. It is kind of sad and like I guess reflective at the same time. But yeah, a third of the way in, it's really good. It's feeling like 4 stars right now. It's very much contemporary with sci-fi elements and not like in-your-face science, and I'm really interested to see how it continues. I am here to talk about The Measure. So I vlogged, I think, at a third of the way in, and then I was going to vlog between like 65 and 75%. And then I got there and I was like, I don't have anything to say other than what I think I'm gonna like say at the very end as my overall thoughts, so I just didn't update you. So I told you the synopsis, and the entire book hits you over the head with the idea that you should live life to the fullest and be happy with your life no matter like how long you're going to live, and that's it. It feels like it is trying its hardest to be inspirational, and that's not what I want. Like, I wanted more. I don't know what I wanted, but it wasn't this. I'm giving this 3 stars. The only sci-fi element of this was that like these strings showed up and now people knew how long they were going to live, which is such an interesting topic. This really reminds me of The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and people love that. So if you love that, you should check out this book. I don't want the book to beat me over the head with what it's trying to convey, and this book definitely does that.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not an inspirational book girly. I want murder. Yeah, I don't know. I just was kind of bored, and I was like, okay, I understand what you're saying, Nikki, so can we move on? I don't know. I think it was done well. It just was not what I wanted. It was too long. There were too many characters as well. Like, they all kind of end up at the same conclusion, and I'm just like, so those are my thoughts on that. Would I pick up from this author again? Maybe. I don't think the writing was bad. Julia Wayland does the audiobook, and I thought that was great. I just didn't care. And that's on me. Because I know I don't like inspirational things. So, moving on.
Hello, so sorry there is blanket in the shot, but I'm being very lazy and holding this in between my legs and the blanket is there and it's a thing. Anyway, I am a third into the Violin Conspiracy. This is my copy that got water damaged like months ago, if anyone remembers that. So sadly, I did not get this signed by the author at that book event because like it was falling apart at the time. It's a little bit better now. And he was really cool though. Like he was near where we were for one thing, and he was just like really nice. So I would love to get him to sign a book eventually. Hopefully this one if I like it. At some point I will show you the cover. So this is separated into different parts. The first one is following our main character Ray as his super expensive violin is discovered to be missing. He is getting ready to compete in this super prestigious like violin competition and his violin ends up getting stolen. So that's what's happening in the first part. We are watching him discover it's missing and then the aftermath. So this is a $10 million violin, by the way. Don't know how he got it. Don't know anything about it, but yeah, it's a very expensive violin. So it's like made the news. So the violin was taken from the case and it was replaced with a shoe, which is kind of weird to me, and a ransom note. And he doesn't realize until like a day later after he travels. And it says like, you have to give $5 million or else. I don't remember what happens. I guess he just doesn't get it back. So then we get to part 2, which is the joy of family. And this is 6 years ago when he is in high school and he is trying to like start his career as being a violinist. His mother is not supportive at all. She is terrible, but he has a very supportive grandmother who ends up like doing a lot to encourage him and support him. So we are just following that in the past. We are watching him like play his first gig and get like his one violin repaired and all this stuff. And that's pretty much all that has happened. I am 100 pages in. I just got to part 3. I don't have strong opinions of this. I would say it's a little more on the boring side because a lot of it has been taking place in the past. And then even the present day timeline, there is this whole stolen violin and ransom and everything. The stakes don't feel very high, even though it is a $10 million violin. It'll be interesting to see how this continues because, like, there's only so much you can do with a stolen item. And I do hope we get more of the present day than the past because that's not really where the mystery lies. So this is definitely feeling more like a mystery than a thriller at this point, which is totally fine. But so far I just want a little more from it. I'm not having any issues with the writing or anything. I'm liking the main character and his grandma. I hate his mom, but other than that, no real complaints as of now. I do want it to pick up a little bit. I have sprints on my channel today, so I'm really hoping that I can get to 2/3 in this, and I will come back and talk to you then.
I'm now 67% into the Violin conspiracy. I really need to get the dust jacket, but this is what we're going with. I want to be loving this more than I am. It very much feels like literary fiction with a small mystery element, but not a mystery, and definitely not a thriller. So I am enjoying all of the discussions in here on race in the classical music world. I do have a background in, I guess, classical music. I think it's a very important discussion. Everything in here that's happening is interesting, but I just really want more from it. Like, I want there to be more about the mystery in here. I'm liking the way it's formatted. So we started off with the disappearance of this violin, and then it went back in time, and we're very slowly working our way up to where the book started. So I am enjoying that. I'm enjoying the writing and the discussions in here. I just want more from it. It is a tough read. There's a lot of stuff in here that like is very frustrating, but it's important to discuss, especially because I feel like not a lot of people are aware of things like this happening in the classical music world. Like, it's feeling like a 3.5 at the moment, which is kind of a bummer because I wanted to love it a lot more, but there's still time, and at some point the mystery element has to become a little more prominent, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna finish this and I'll talk to you later, hopefully with slightly more positive things, but I do think this is a good book, you know? I finally got the dust jacket on here. I have finished the Violin conspiracy, and I'm really sad because I did not love this one. I think I'm gonna give this 3 stars. The thing is, I think this was done well. I think it had a lot of like really great discussions in here, but it was definitely not focused on the mystery, and I didn't care about the mystery at all. And I even have a background in music and performance and stuff like this, and I just like found myself not interested in it. Like, it was a lot. Like, I can see it being very overwhelming for people that do not have any sort of background in music, because there's a lot of like specific things. But like, if you have no idea, it's just gonna go over your head and you're gonna be like, well, I don't care. And it's written in a way that you can understand with like context clues and things, but it is a lot of like music talk in here, which is why I bought it, but I also really wanted more from the mystery. I think this is kind of tough to read because of the things that it discusses. I think it's important. Like, I'm really glad that this book exists, but as somebody who needs more in their stories than just somebody existing, like, I was bored personally. This is one that I would recommend still. I do think that knowing a little bit about music would be helpful, but not necessary. But that's also coming from someone that understood everything, so I didn't feel overwhelmed. I cannot speak to it being overwhelming for someone that doesn't know really anything about music. I do think it was a little too long, and I think the mystery wrapped up fine. Like, it made sense, but I just didn't care by that point because most of the book is not about the mystery. I liked that we started off with the crime, then went back and kind of made our way up to it, but the mystery had no impact on anything. I mean, like, yeah, it was a lead up to the mystery, kind of, but it was more like life. And that is fine, but not what I want to read myself. So, sadly, just 3 stars for me. I did mention briefly that I like quickly met this author at an event, and he seemed really great, and I will read another book from him, but this one was not my favorite book. So, 2 books down, 1 more to go. I will talk to you once I have started my next book. So the last book I'm going to be reading for this video is White Horse by Erica T. Worth. This was nominated in the horror category. It says, some people are haunted in more ways than one. Heavy metal ripped jeans, Stephen King novels, and the occasional beer at the White Horse have defined urban Indian Kari James's life so far. But when her cousin Debbie finds an old family bracelet that once belonged to Carrie's mother,
it inadvertently calls up both her mother's ghost and a monstrous entity, and Carrie's willful ignorance about her past is no longer sustainable. I'm not going to read the rest of it. So I'm a third of the way in, which is like 90 pages. And so far it's interesting. The plot is very slow moving. We're getting a lot about the character herself. We are getting elements of this haunting of her mother from the bracelet, but it's her as a person and her dealing with just different things in her life on top of the haunting. Her mother disappeared when she was 2 days old, and like nobody knows what happened to her. So we do know that she disappeared, but we don't know why, like if it was because she decided to go or whatever, but we know she's not alive anymore. So that is interesting, because the like mystery element in here is what happened, not if she's alive or not. The way this haunting is working, I'm enjoying. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this continues, because this doesn't feel like a lot of horror I have read. It is very understated for the most part, and kind of random almost. I don't know why I'm holding this up. You can't even see. Anyway, I'm gonna go read more. I will talk to you later today. I plan on finishing this. It's not super long, so that won't be hard to do. I'm back in this spot. I tried to move my chair a little so it was at a slightly different angle so you could have, it's not a different background. Anyway, I'm 67% into White Horse, and I am enjoying this. I'm actually having some of the same issues as I was with the Violin conspiracy. There's just like a lot of other things happening, and like that's not bad, but I just want more of the focus to be on this like haunting stuff. Like there's a whole nother side story with our main character's cousin, and it's hard because I think these are like good discussions and I'm enjoying those parts of it, but those parts are too much because I just want more of the story I was promised. I think that's my thing. We are starting to get a little more details about the haunting, and just the backstory with that, and I'm enjoying that. I just wish that was a little bit more of the main focus, but it is like some side stuff, some internal stuff, which I think is important in books, but it's just too much of the book for me. And it really, that's how it was with the Violin conspiracy. They're both good, they're both done well, but I personally want more of like the horror or the mystery or whatever. I will say that this one is a little more enjoyable for me. Not really for any specific reason other than it just like it is. It's darker, it's more gritty, which is what I prefer in books. I'm gonna go finish it and I will come back to you probably from this chair, and maybe I'll do another angle. I was going to go over and stand in my bookshelves and set everything up, but Bowser's really cute right there, so I wanted to just have him there. And also I had to fight him for this yarn that's attached to this giant thing, and I don't want to hold it over there because he thinks that this is for him. I had to get it from him. So this is what we're going with, but at least there's at least he's there to look at. Even though I'm gonna hold my book up real quick. I have finished White Horse. Oh look, if I hold it here you can see both. And I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I think it's feeling like a 3.5. It is my favorite that I read in this video, which is really kind of a bummer. Love that for me. So this video did not go as planned because I kind of expected these to be ones that I would really love. I think my issue with this is that it is too literary, it is too like quiet in the horror. I just wanted more from the horror aspects and less from the literary stuff, which is my fault. Like, it's not the fault of the book. I would still recommend picking this one up. It definitely had a lot of interesting discussions in it, but I want more, I guess, action in my books. So I ended up not personally loving it, but I think it was done well. It was interesting enough that I was never considering DNFing. And I probably will keep this one on my shelves, at least for a little bit, because I mean, I just got it and I did enjoy it. Sadly, I did not get more from this, but it was my favorite out of the three. So yeah, this video went not very well. There are Goodreads Choice Awards winners that I have loved and been obsessed with, and there are sadly some others like these ones that I didn't love. There's some that I did not like in general. Obviously, the Goodreads Choice Awards are just a popularity contest. I'm glad that I read 3 of these. They were really anticipated. Let me know if you have read any of these 3 books and what you thought, or if you are planning on picking them up. I don't think any of these books were bad. All of these were just not for me. The Measure is so popular, so many people love it, but like, it was too inspirational. I didn't want that. The concept was super cool though, and then both The Violin Conspiracy and White Horse have a lot of interesting discussions. The plot was just like too slow, too literary for me. But all of these books are ones I would recommend to people. I would love to know your favorite book you have read that was nominated for the Goodreads Choice Awards this year. It can be from any category, or you can tell me ones from different categories, your favorite from those, which ones you voted for. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!